Next one. After that, if and if def and as if def and if and def. These are called macro testing preprocessor directives. These are called macro testing preprocessor directives. Macro testing preprocessor directives. These are used to check whether the macro is defined or not. These are used to check whether macro is defined or not. Macro testing preprocessor directive. What is if def means? As if def. If def means if defined. Sir, when we are using this preprocessor directive, we should compulsorily use as and if for terminating the program. Yes, we need to use as in def, that is a close brace. Lohit, we need to use as this. This is a question he asked, right? When we are using the preprocessor directives, we should compulsorily use as in def. Yes, it is a close brace. Okay, for terminating a program, we need to use as in def. If else closed, that is if closed. And if is what? If is closed. Yeah. What is if def? What is if def? What is if def? This is what in if defined macro. If defined macro, that is the meaning. As if and def. If and def. What is if and def? If it is not defined, if it is, what is this? If def means if it is defined, if it is not defined, not defined. If, if defined and if not defined, if and def and if def. Okay, example I will show you program for if def and if and def. If def and if and def. If defined and if not defined. Yeah, guys, see what is if defined and if not defined. I will show you if defined and if not defined. See, guys. Now I want to define one macro. Example, I am defining a macro, guys, as defined test. That is what I am defining something. Test is what? Test is some value, right? Some a is 10 is okay. That is test macro is defined or not? Yes, test macro is defined. Okay, now I want to write void main, guys. See now what I'm writing here. Printf hello. Okay, I don't want, if you want to write this, right now what I'm writing as if def test. If test is defined, execute this statement. What is this? Now I want to display, yeah, yes, if it is defined. Otherwise, else statement also we can write. Else also we can write. I don't want to write else. Now end if I am writing get ch. Now what is output? Whether it is if it is true, test is defined or not? Yes, test is defined. It shows yes. Okay. If I did not define else block, can I write for else block or not? We can you write? See, I don't want to write this as defined. I am not writing now. This is what I did not write as defined. Now it won't execute. See, not defined. That's why nothing is there. If it is defined, then only it is yes. Then only it is yes. Okay. Now what is the output? It is yes. Okay, what is if and def? If and def is what? If it is not defined, it is true. Now it is defined, it is false now. That's why it won't execute now. Okay, if it is not defined, means if I cut it, if I cut this, cut, there is no defined test macro is not defined, yes, then it shows series, yes. Okay, whether macro is defined or not, whether the macro is defined or not, it shows. Okay, write this first, if def and if not def. You understood, right? If defined test, yes, it is defined, yes, defined, yes. Okay, if you want to write any statements also you can write. First, guys, write with this, remove this and write again, then no output. You understood how to write? Now you can understand, guys. First write this and write the output is yes. Okay, remove this and write the again question. Write this. Now what is the output? No output. Why? Because test is not defined. Test is not defined. That's why it is no output. Okay. First without and with. First without and with. Same way if and if also without and with. Right. Four cases you have to write. Without or with. Only two lines program you can write. Next, undef, ash undef. Next one, ash undef. Yeah, guys, right? What is ash undef? It is used to remove the scope of the macro. It is used to remove the scope of the macro. How to remove ash undef? Yeah, our macro name. Yeah, what is ash undef? How to remove the scope of the macro? Ash undef. What is ash undef? Guys, see, now I am writing ash define a is 10. Ash define a is 10. Yes, you know, right? How to print that a value? You know how to print it. Okay, we can print that printf of. Now, guys, percentile d print a value. Now I want to print. If I print a value will be printed 10. Yes, guys. Now what I want to write ash undef a. Now I am removing as and def a. Now again print a value. I removed that a value. Can I print this value? See, I want to print that value. Percentile d again. A. Write a. See, that is removed. Here undef means I remove that a value. Can I print it now? See, one error, undefined symbol a. Why? Because I undefined that value. Undefined that value. Undefined. Yes, write this, guys. This is undefined symbol a error. It is.